This morning, the wind in Washington, D.C. is cold, but the silence coming from the White House is colder. If you walk past 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue today, you will see no flags at half-staff. You will see no wreath being laid at the memorial. You will hear no speeches about justice. You will hear no mention of the name Martin Luther King Jr. For the first time since Ronald Reagan signed this holiday into law in 1983, the President of the United States has refused to issue a proclamation. Think about what that means. For over 40 years, Republican and Democratic presidents alike have paused to honor the dream of equality. They may have disagreed on policy. They may have disagreed on taxes. But they all agreed on this one fundamental truth, that the arc of the moral universe should bend toward justice. Today, that arc has been snapped. Donald Trump's silence is not an oversight. It is not an accident. It is a message. It is a dog whistle to every white nationalist group in this country that the era of civil rights is officially over. It is a signal that the protections we took for granted are being erased. But while the White House is silent, the streets of Minneapolis are screaming. While the president refuses to speak about peace, his agents are waging war. At the exact same moment, the sun rose over the empty podium in the Rose Garden. A battering ram was smashing through a front door in St. Paul. The sound was deafening. It wasn't a knock. It wasn't a request to enter. It was an invasion. And what followed was not law enforcement. It was a purge. If you want to know the true state of our union in 2026, do not look at the president's Twitter feed. Look at the snow in Minnesota, stained with the blood of the innocent. Look at the faces of American citizens being dragged out of their beds in their pajamas. Look at the mask on the face of the agent holding the rifle, because that mask is the new face of America. We are no longer a nation of laws. We are a nation of targets. And today, on the day we are supposed to celebrate freedom, I am here to tell you that your freedom is hanging by a thread. Anatomy of a raid, the death of the Fourth Amendment. Let me take you to St. Paul. Let me take you to 3 a.m. this morning. Imagine you are asleep in your own bed. Your wife is sleeping next to you. Your children are down the hall. Outside, it is 20 degrees below zero. The wind chill is deadly. Suddenly, your world explodes. Glass shatters. Wood splinters, flashbang grenades blind you. Men with assault rifles are screaming at you to get on the floor. You don't know who they are. They have no badges. They have no names on their uniforms. They are wearing military fatigues, but they are operating on American soil. They drag you out of your warm bed. They drag you across the floor. They don't let you put on your shoes. They don't let you put on a coat. They throw you out into the snow, half naked, freezing, humiliated in front of your neighbors. You try to tell them who you are. You try to tell them there must be a mistake, but they don't listen. To them, you are not a person. You are a statistic. You are a quota they need to fill. This is exactly what happened to a man in St. Paul this morning. Reuters photographers were there. They captured the terror in his eyes. They captured the brutality of the agents. And do you know what the agents found when they finally checked his ID? Do you know who they had just assaulted? He was a naturalized United States citizen. He had lived in this country for 20 years. He had no criminal record. He paid his taxes. He raised his family. He had the same rights as you. He had the same rights as Donald Trump. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution protects us against unreasonable searches and seizures. It says the government cannot kick down your door without probable cause. It says they cannot drag you into the snow without a warrant. But this morning meant the Fourth Amendment did not exist in St. Paul. It was shredded by the boots of ICE agents acting as a paramilitary force. When they realized their mistake, did they apologize? Did they offer him medical attention? No. They simply cut his zip ties and drove away. They left a U.S. citizen shivering in the cold, his front door destroyed, his family traumatized. and he is one of the lucky ones. He is lucky because he is still alive. Because in the first 18 days of 2026, not everyone has survived these encounters. We have received confirmation of a sixth death in ICE detention this year. 6 people dead in less than 3 weeks. That is a rate of death we see in war zones, not in county jails. That is to people every single week who enter the custody of the United States government and leave in a body bag. And we cannot forget the name of the 7th victim. Renee Nicole Good. Her name has been whispered in the community, but shouted down by the authorities. She died under suspicious circumstances in a detention center just days ago. Her family has been denied an autopsy. They have been denied answers. They have been told to stop asking questions. This is not how a democracy functions. This is how a police state hides its crimes. When the government can kill you in custody and refuse to explain how, you do not have rights. You have temporary privileges that can be revoked at any moment. This raid in St. Paul was not an anomaly. It was a feature of the new system. A system designed to terrorize. A system designed to make you afraid to answer your own door. And if you think this only happens to other people, you are wrong. The man in St. Paul was a citizen. The lines have been blurred. The safeguards are gone. And while they hunt people in their homes, they are also hunting the people who try to tell you the truth. The criminalization of witnessing when journalism becomes a crime. You might be asking yourself, if this is happening, why isn't it on every news channel? Why isn't this the headline on every paper? The answer is simple, and the answer is terrifying. The Department of Justice is systematically criminalizing the act of journalism. They are making it a crime to witness the state's violence. Look at what is happening to Don Lemon. Don Lemon is an independent journalist. He was in St. Paul to cover these raids. He went to a church where community members were gathering to pray and protest. He was there to do his job. He was there to document history. But the Department of Justice doesn't see it that way. This morning, a DOJ official made a statement that should chill every American to the bone. He compared journalists covering protests to getaway drivers in a bank robbery. Listen to the logic they are using. They said, quote, "Imagine you have a bank robbery that's being planned. And then a podcaster says, 'Let me embed myself in here and come along for the ride and live stream the crime.' That would not be protected by the First Amendment." End quote. Do you understand what they are doing? They are redefining protest as crime, and therefore, anyone who reports on the protest is an accomplice. This is a legal sleight of hand designed to destroy the freedom of the press. Don Lemon wasn't driving a getaway car. He was holding a microphone. He wasn't robbing a bank. He was standing in a church. But under this administration, the truth is contraband. If they can arrest the reporter, they can kill the story. There are no cameras. Did the raid really happen? If there are no witnesses, did the detainee really die? This is the ultimate goal of the authoritarian playbook. Total darkness. They want to operate in the shadows where they can do whatever they want without accountability. And they are starting at the top. We saw Pam Bondi, the official leading this charge, testifying before the Senate. Or should I say, refusing to testify. When asked simple questions about who ordered these crackdowns, she pleaded the fifth. She refused to answer. She smirked. She knows she is untouchable because the system has been rigged to protect her. They are building a wall of silence around their actions. And they are threatening anyone who tries to climb over it with prison. This is why the silence on MLK Day is so dangerous. Dr. King didn't just fight for racial equality. He fought for the right to speak. He fought for the right to assemble. He fought for the right to shine a light on injustice. When he marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the cameras were there. The reporters were there. And because the world saw the violence of the police, the world changed. Donald Trump knows this. He knows that images have power. He knows that if you saw what happened inside those detention centers, you would revolt. So he is making sure you never see it. He is making sure the cameras are turned off. He is making sure the journalists are locked up. And he is hoping that in the darkness you will forget. He is hoping you will forget what this country is supposed to be. The betrayal of the dream, the three evils return. But we have not forgotten. And there are still voices in this country brave enough to remind us. While the president stayed silent, James Tallarico, a young leader from Texas, stood up. He stood up in a church, much like the one Don Lemon was reporting from. And he delivered a message that cut through the noise of the raids and the lies of the DOJ. He asked a question that every single one of us needs to answer today. What would Dr. King say? If Martin Luther King came back to America in 2026, what would he see? He would see the three evils he warned us about, now weaponized by the government. He warned us about the evil of racism. And today, he would see ICE agents targeting black and brown communities with military precision. He would see a justice system that treats a naturalized citizen like an enemy combatant because of the color of his skin. He warned us about the evil of poverty. And today, he would see 10 million children living in poverty in the wealthiest nation on earth. He would see billions of dollars being siphoned off to offshore accounts in Qatar, while American families freeze in their homes. He warned us about the evil of war. And today, he would see a government waging war not just on foreign enemies, but on its own people. Tallarico said it best. You can't, quote, I have a dream on MLK Day, and then legislates against that dream every other day of the year. You cannot claim to love America while you are actively dismantling its Constitution. You cannot claim to support law and order while you are breaking the supreme law of the land. The hypocrisy is suffocating. Donald Trump wants the photo op, but he hates the message. He wants the black vote, but he unleashes the white nationalist agenda. He wants to be king, but he refuses to honor Dr. King. This betrayal is not just political, it is spiritual. It attacks the very soul of who we are. When they dragged that man out into the snow in St. Paul, they weren't just attacking him. They were attacking the promise of America. They were saying that your safety depends on their mood. They were saying that your citizenship is just a piece of paper that they can tear up whenever they want. This is the reality of the domestic dictator. He doesn't need to declare martial law on television. He just needs to let it happen, neighborhood by neighborhood, raid by raid. He just needs to make you afraid enough to stay quiet. He just needs to make you doubt your own eyes. But we see you. We see the families being torn apart. We see the journalists being threatened. We see the empty flagpole at the White House, and we know what it means. A call from the abyss. We are standing on the edge of a precipice. The America we knew is slipping away. It is being replaced by something colder, something harder, something cruel. The raid in St. Paul was a test. They wanted to see if we would notice. They wanted to see if we would care. If we stay silent now, there will be another raid tomorrow, and another one the day after that. And eventually, it won't be in St. Paul. It will be on your street. It will be your door that shudders in the middle of the night. 'Twill be your family dragged out into the cold. History has taught us this lesson again and again. First, they came for the immigrants. Then they came for the journalists. Then they came for the dissenters. And by the time they come for you, there will be no one left to speak up. Donald Trump didn't issue a proclamation today because he has nothing to say to the dreamers. His message is only for the enforcers. His message is in the silence. But our message must be in the noise. We must be the ones to break the silence. We must be the ones to shine the light. We cannot let Renee Nicole Good become just another statistic in a government spreadsheet. We cannot let the man in St. Paul be forgotten as collateral damage. They are the casualties of a war for the soul of this nation. And we are the soldiers in the army of truth. We will not be intimidated. We will not be silenced. We will not look away. We are going to keep digging. We are going to keep reporting. We are going to find out exactly what happened to Renee Nicole Good inside that detention center. We have received documents that the government tried to hide, forensic reports that tell a very different story than the official press release. In our next video, we are going to expose the cover-up. We are going to show you the evidence that could bring this entire house of cards crashing down. But we need you with us. We need you to bear witness. Do not let this MLK Day pass in silence. Talk to your neighbors, share this story, make some noise. Because if we lose our voice now, we may never get it back. The dream is still alive, but it is fighting for its life, and it is up to us to save it. Stay safe, stay loud, and keep your eyes open.